Hi, it's Oplin Recruiting here, and in this video, I'll tell you the number one mistake practice owners make when it comes to hiring clinicians. After 8 months of working with practice owners, I finally realized it, and I don't want it to affect your hiring process either. This mistake is so critical that if it's left unturned and you're left unaware of it early on, then it will likely leave you short-staffed and burnt out. Now, a quick overview. My name's Oplin Recruiting. I help private practice owners like yourself hire the right fit clinicians, whether that be PT, OT, or SLP, and I do it through online educational content. And my number one goal priority is to escape the corporate recruiter realm and offer you free human-like value that actually helps you hire again. So without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video and let's get into it. With it being 2026, there are many innovative ways to hire. You got AI, technology, softwares, tools that basically just do it all for you, made by these coding companies and software companies. That push these trends out, where podcasters and social media influencers will be advertising, promoting new ways to hire, new trends and stuff on a daily basis, and it can make your life as a practice owner very, very tough, very overwhelming, and leaves you in that space of not knowing what works, what doesn't work, what you should try, and what you should test, what you shouldn't test. And it can be very hard in this modern day society to kind of filter through all the noise and figure out what works for your practice, what you should avoid, and the companies you should be given a try, and what you should be avoiding at all costs. Many struggle, and you're not alone in this battle. Many practice owners out there are in your situation, your exact current situation, where you don't know what to do, you don't know what steps to take, you don't know who to listen to, you don't have the awareness or the time or the commitment to put into hiring and ensuring you find the right clinician. It's tough, and without the right resources and knowledge out there, and the time commitment because of your time treating, running the practice, running the business, managing the team, it can be very hard to balance time for hiring and get a few steps ahead and make progress. And it can be tough. Now, I want you to remember, in your current situation as a practice owner, you do not need these advanced technologies. You don't need applicant tracking systems, if you even know what that is. You don't need all these advanced CRMs. You don't need all these software stacks. What you need is just a proven system that you can just repeat, you can test on, and you can just iterate upon results. There's not one way, there's not one size fits all. It really just comes down to going back to the basics and using what works and sticking with that, right? Because when you start changing things up, you start listening to these trendy creators and paying these companies to do the job on your behalf, it can be tough because they just want the money, right? And if you're hopping from trend to trend, it's going to be really hard to get any proof of concept in your hiring process and ultimately find something that's reliable that can be repeated by any of your team members, so you're not the one just doing it every time. But yeah, I understand your situation. Don't get overwhelmed from it. There's not one size that fits all. There's many different options out there, and typically it's the most basic processes typically win for your situation as well. You're not hiring thousands of you're not like 100 plus head corporation, unless you got multiple locations, but typically you maybe got a few locations max, and let's be realistic here. Like, you're just looking for a clinician. You don't need these crazy advanced AI systems. You just need to find that clinician, and the best way to do that is to cut through the noise and have your own process, develop your own process that works, and to continue just testing and iterating on that. Now I'm going to discuss the right fit and why it's so important for your practice. This gets often overlooked by practice owners, and I don't understand it, because this is the lifeblood of your practice. They are going to account for the long-term return on investment you get in revenue, monthly revenue, which can be up to $10,000 to $30,000, maybe even more, depending on how many patients on the caseload. But yeah, like it's ridiculous to me, because you now have an asset that can increase your team morale and your team culture, You can promote them in the future to, a future role, like maybe clinic manager, clinic director. You can grow their own caseload. Obviously, I agree. I disagree with, clinicians having to grow their own caseload. I think that should be up to the company. But, they can grow their own caseload. You can improve patient retention. And yeah, and there's no negatives with, the right fit. Like you need it. It's inevitable. If you want to be successful as a practice owner, you need the right team around you. And, it all starts with a linear practice, hiring process that, just does it all for you, right? Now, the number one mistake I see practice owners make when it comes to trying to hire the right clinicians is, it all comes from the mindset, right? That is the foundation for hiring, if you think about it. Your lack of time and, your lack of time commitment, your dedication to learning how to hire, and your, neglect of the possibilities around hiring, specifically around like what it can, do for your practice in the future. It's all going to contribute. And, just putting up an Indeed ad is not enough, right? You got to take, actual action where you can, it's more of a projection rather than, a guess and play, or, put up an Indeed ad and then pray, right? So you need to have a structured process in place where, you're learning, maybe not every day, but you have some sort of level of structured learning where you're getting some, knowledge, and you're actually committing some of your time to, being able to finally hire, and, putting all your effort, or, a big portion of your effort into that specific space is really important, and you're going to see a high long-term, ROI on it. Now, I'm going to discuss the number one mistake I see practice owners make. And this is, it stems to mindset, but it's around identifying the right clinician. I know that sounds, pretty straightforward. You're probably wondering, why would you make me wait for this time in the video to, finally bring this up? But yeah, I want to build up to it so you have a bit more knowledge, going up to this part. But yeah, it's identifying the right clinician. So you can't find the right clinician if you're not even going to be able to speak to the right clinician, because if you don't know what you're looking for, if you're going into the market and you're putting your let's just say your script in, which is just your job ad, how can you expect to find the right clinician from that if you're not even, positioning that job ad as, catered to a specific like demographic or, avatar? So the number one step, it gets most overlooked by a mile, is identifying the right clinician. And, I like to bring up this metaphor. It's like if you were to schedule in a patient and they were going to come in and you just didn't know how to treat them, right? Or it's like if you're going to go to the grocery store, you have the bag ready, your grocery bag ready to go, and you don't even know what you're going to get. Like, you're just going in. Like, you're like, I'm just going to shop at the grocery store, and that's that. I'm going to find some stuff. You don't want to do that, because you're probably going to end up, leaving the store with either nothing, because you didn't even know you wanted in the first place, or you're going to leave the store with a bunch of stuff you didn't even want in the first place, or you live to regret why you bought it later on. So yeah, that is the number one mistake I see practice owners make. And yeah, now if you want to prevent this, it's very simple. The first thing you got to do is gather up with your team. You want the whole team there, preferably, and you're going to strategize. You're going to maybe sit in a circle. I know that might sound weird, or maybe even stand in a circle, and you're going to get a big piece of paper with a marker, and you're going to write down what that person would need to do and be to fulfill and excel in the role you're trying to fill. So you hire for outcomes, right? So I'm assuming this will be, a PT, OT, or SLP that, is going to treat. They're going to have a caseload. They're going to be, they're going to be retaining your patients, and they're going to be, growing your revenue of your practice. So that would be the outcome. And, each outcome has measurable KPIs. I won't go into it in this video because it's, it can be quite complex, and you don't need to know the gist of that. If it's just, a typical hire. But yeah, you want to team up with your team. You want to identify what you're looking for, and then you're going to bring that to market, right? So now in your job ad, now in your your outreach, you're going to be positioning it as if it's to that person, right? So the most important part now is you need to know where that person would be. Where is that ideal avatar going to actually be online? Are they online on Facebook, Twitter, maybe TikTok, maybe Instagram? You're going to find where they are, where they would be online according to what you guys are looking for. And then you're going to identify what would that person objectively want, right? I would recommend looking into the market, doing some market research, what candidates in 2026 are actually looking for. And I would be putting that in front of them, and that's how you do it, right? You go where they are, then you dangle what they want in front of them, and then they come to you, right? And if you've done this correctly and you have a strong process in place for hiring, they should smoothly integrate. And yeah, if you have a good onboarding process, it'll be a piece of cake to train them, and they'll have the right demographics that you're looking for, demographics, skills, traits, whatnot that you were looking for. And the nice part with this is there's no wrong answer, right? Like whatever you're looking for is unique to your practice, because every practice is unique. Every practice, team culture and values, they're all different, and it's going to highly depend on what your practice is structured like and what you guys believe in and your values. Now that's about it. I hope this video was helpful. I just want to reemphasize that how important finding the right fit is for your practice. If you're going to take anything away from this video, you need to know the importance of finding the right clinician. It all starts from identifying who you're looking for, the outcomes of what they would need to achieve to excel in the role, and then finding them, right? You're going to speak to them, and you're going to go into the market. You're going to find what they objectively want. You're going to put it in front of them, and they're going to start working for you. It's that easy. So yeah, long-term return on investment, your team culture, your patient retention, referrals, future promotions, it all lies in finding the right clinician that is the right fit for your practice, your culture, your values, and ensuring that there is the proper alignment so both parties can excel in their role happily and efficiently. Now, if you want to hire the right PT, OT, or SLP in 60 days guaranteed, I do have a funnel link below if you'd like to check it out. We handle the whole process on your behalf, as well as offering a free replacement guarantee if the new hire leaves within 60 days, just to show how confident we are that we'll find you the right clinician. So ultimately you can achieve the time, the revenue that you're looking for to grow your practice, to bigger limits, right? So yeah, that's about it. I don't know how long this video will be. This was the first video I've posted on this channel. If you're new here, this is just the start of the journey. And yeah, thank you for watching this. I'm excited to post more. And yeah, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff, because there'll be more videos you'll see by me. And yeah, if you want to follow me on, I guess, LinkedIn or Facebook, it'll be linked below. And yeah, thank you so much and have a good day.